You better believe the world's still watching.
It's time for you guys to start being journalists.
Before an angry Andrew Baldwin left the courthouse, 13 News overheard him speaking to Richard Allen's wife, saying, "It ain't over. The world's watching. The world sees what's going on."
Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Wednesday morning, the 20th of December. So we're going to talk about the Delphi case today. I've not talked about the Delphi for about a week now, but Murder Sheet put out a podcast yesterday, the Delphi murders, The Leak. And I was going to make a video in response to this. However, I'm taking a slightly different angle today because something happened overnight my time. So this is in Delphi docs on Reddit. Murder Sheet podcast episode on leaks. Worth a listen if you can stomach it, but this is the Cliff Note versions. Claims Mitch Westerman was leaking defence strategy and discovery to Robert Fortson, who's the guy who took his own life, on an ongoing basis, but asserts there is no evidence Baldwin and or Rosie were aware of this. Also claims there is no evidence of either side in the case intentionally leaking information. Claims it was not problematic for Andrew Baldwin to discuss defence strategy with Mitch Westerman. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Implicitly suggests, however, that Baldwin and or Rosie gave Mitch Westerman access on an ongoing basis to discovery, which, if true, would seem to be a violation of the protective order. Well, it would, yeah. Talking about strategy is one thing, right? That's their own ideas and that's their own work. But giving discovery to somebody, no, I can't do that. What are people's thoughts and what are the implications? So I was going to discuss this in light of the Murder Sheets episode, and I was going to play a little snippet from the Murder Sheet saying that it was ridiculous that social media users and people on the internet were saying that things were coming from law enforcement. However, I'm not going to do that because something happened overnight my time. Okay. Criminality was live. She was live when I went to sleep, but I didn't watch it because I thought, oh, that'll be something interesting to watch when I get up in the morning, right? Because she's in California, so she's 8 hours behind me, right? So I'm very, very rarely watch Criminality live if she starts at something like 11 p.m. my time. So I was going to watch that this morning. However, not anymore. YouTube shows the Criminality podcast, not podcast, live stream, is gone due to a copyright claim by the Murder Sheet. So apparently, Teresa from Criminality did show some audio and part of the Murder Sheet transcript. Was it fair use? Guess the verdict is no. No. The verdict isn't no. I'm going to talk about it in general terms because I didn't see what Teresa played. I didn't see how much she played. She came back live, so I have watched this, and she said she played about 30 seconds of the Murder Sheet podcast, for which she got a copyright strike. Now that's damaging to the channel. There's two different versions of copyright claims. So let's say you own the copyright for a music track. Legally, you own that copyright. You can copyright claim the video. So it doesn't give a strike to your channel, it just takes the monetization. So News Nation always do this to me, right? If I play a 30-second clip from News Nation, they copyright claim me. It doesn't put a strike on my channel. It just means that they take the monetization for the entire video, which is unfair, but that's what happens. All right. So playing music and stuff like that does it. And if you're live, I think it shuts down your live stream. I don't know because it's never happened to me live. but it happens to me on recorded videos occasionally. And either I can choose to say, well, I want to keep that clip in because it's important to the video, and I just take the hit because they get the monetization, or I can edit using YouTube software. Even though the video's uploaded and on YouTube, I can edit it and take that clip out, which I sometimes do, all right, if it's not important to the overall message. But a copyright strike is different. If you get 3 copyright strikes, your channel gets taken down. That's it, gone. Your channel's gone. But what concerns me, and this is why I'm talking about this in general terms, is that some creators are using this copyright system unfairly. They're using it to shut down people talking about them or their work product or something that they've done, even though you've not put any information in your video or your live stream that breaches copyright law. I had this exact problem, shall we say, in July. This in relation to the Summer Wells case. Someone had written a book about the Summer Wells case. And I did a review video talking about the book, even though there was no parts of the book. I didn't read parts of the book. I didn't show the parts of the text. None of that video, not 1 second of that video, was copyrighted material. It was all mine. It was filmed. It was edited by me. Everything was me. There wasn't 1 inch of that book in that video. However, what it did was it took that video offline for the 2 weeks it takes for YouTube to deal with this. Because if you get a copyright strike, your video gets taken down, and YouTube gives you the option, either deal with it, you know, like just put up with it, and after 90 days, 3 months, the copyright strike gets taken off. Like I said though, if you get 3, then your channel's gone. So potentially you don't want even 1 copyright strike, right? It's like 3 chances and you're out, and you're gone. You're gone. Or you can appeal, and if you appeal, basically tells the person that copyright struck you that they've got 10 working days, 10 business days, so 2 weeks, because it takes out 2 weekends, to file a claim in the court, right? So it becomes a court issue. And if that person who struck you decides to take you to court, then the video stays down and court proceedings occur. If the person who struck you doesn't reply to that and just sits with it, then after 10 working days, YouTube reinstates your video and takes off your copyright strike. That happened to me because there was no way that the person who struck me could take me to court because there wasn't 1 inch, 1 second of his material in my video. It was simply a book review. But what he did was copyright struck my video erroneously. And YouTube needs to deal with this, right? YouTube needs to do something about this. My video was taken down erroneously, so therefore the criticism that I was making of this book was taken offline. Once YouTube put it back on, like it was 2 weeks, it was actually more than 2 weeks, because it took me 4 days to get YouTube to understand what the problem was. Because there was no copyright, there was nothing of his in my video. So how he was able to copyright strike me, I've got no idea. But it's to shut down the message that they don't like. And according to Teresa, like I have watched this, according to Teresa, that's what the murder sheet were doing. They didn't like what she was saying, and I didn't see what she was saying, so I can't comment on that. But they didn't like what she was saying, so they've copyright struck her for using 30 seconds of their podcast. So, let's look at fair use on YouTube. Alright, so this is YouTube help section. Fair use on YouTube. Fair use is a legal doctrine that says use of copyright protected material under certain circumstances is allowed without permission from the copyright holder. So you don't even have to have permission, like I use short clips. to, review, to critique, to educate, so I could be using a clip in a positive manner saying, this, and this is correct, or is right, it's what you should do, or blah, blah, blah. Or I use it in I guess, according to the creator, it would be negative because I'm critiquing it. So there's nothing wrong with using a clip, and anybody's got permission to use my stuff, but you don't need permission. As long as you're not passing it off as your own. That's the main thing. If you're passing that work off as your own, then that is a breach, a massive breach of copyright. So if you're passing the work off as your own, it's completely different than including a clip from a video or a podcast to make your point, to critique or to review or to educate or whatever. Either creators don't understand, or they're using this system erroneously to shut down people that they don't like the message of. All right, YouTube gets many requests to remove videos that copyright holders claim are infringements under copyright law. Sometimes these requests reply to videos that qualify for copyright exceptions or seem like clear examples of fair use. If the fair use of copyright protected material in a video qualifies as a copyright exception, then the video is considered lawful and non-infringing. This is why we often ask copyright holders to think about whether copyright exceptions apply before submitting a copyright removal request to YouTube. If a copyright holder believes a video doesn't qualify for an exception, then they must provide us with an adequate explanation as to why. Well, it appears that isn't followed through, because when I was copyright struck, there wasn't 1 inch, nothing, not 1 second of that person's work in my video. So whatever that person said was a lie, and YouTube bought it for 2 weeks because he couldn't take me to court because there was nothing to take me to court for, but it shut down my video for 2 weeks. Copyright exceptions around the world. While international rules about copyright exceptions are often similar, they can differ. Different countries and regions may have different rules about when it's okay to use copyright protected material without the copyright holder's permission. In the United States, works of commentary, criticism, research, teaching or news reporting may be considered fair use. In the EU, the European Union, more limited exceptions are recognised, and the use must fit into specific categories such as quotation. So if you're quoting someone and use a clip to quote them. Criticism, so to critique what they're saying, to use their clip and then say I don't agree with this, and then you put in why. Review, so you're reviewing a video. Caricature, parody and pastiche, which I don't even know what that is. Other countries and regions have a concept called fair dealing that may work differently. No idea. Ultimately, courts decide fair use cases according to the facts of each unique case. You'll probably want to get legal advice from an expert before uploading videos that use copyright protected material. All right, 4 factors of fair use. In the United States, judges decide what's considered fair use. A judge may consider how the 4 factors of fair use apply to each specific case. The 4 factors of fair use are the purpose and character of the use, including whether such use is of commercial nature or for non-profit educational purposes. Courts typically focus on whether the use of copyright-protected material is transformative. This means whether the use adds new expression or meaning to the original material, or whether it merely copies from the original. So if you're reviewing something, putting your own ideas in, or you're using it as an educational piece, or you're using it to comment on, that's transformative. You're using a clip from their work to put your own ideas on, right? To whether you agree with it, disagree with it, whether you're just reviewing it, whether you think it's interesting and you're publicising it, and if you say where it comes from, you're actually helping that channel because people are going to go over and watch the full thing. That's why I think people should use my stuff. As long as they credit me with it, say where it came from, put a link to my channel in the chat or the comment section, I'm happy with that. I want people to talk about my work. It's good. It's good for the channel because more people come over and watch your stuff. Commercial uses are less likely to be considered fair use, but it's still possible to monetize a video that contains fair use material. Of course it is. Of course it's fine to monetize your work if it includes fair use material because you're transforming it. The nature of the copyrighted work, using material from primarily factual works is more likely to be fair use than using it from purely fictional works. Okay. The amount and substantiality of the portion used relative to the whole copyrighted work. Borrowing small bits of material from an original work is more likely to be considered fair use than borrowing large portions. Like if 90% of your video was someone else's work and you just came in and said, oh, this bit's good and this bit's good and this bit's good, that's on the borderline, right? Using small clips, even a series of small clips. Using even the whole, if you're doing a live stream, using the whole video, but you're constantly talking about it, you're constantly reviewing it or critiquing it or agreeing, disagreeing. It makes it substantially yours rather than it being something that you're passing off as your own work. What if what's borrowed is considered the heart of the work? Sometimes even a small sampling may weigh against fair use. Okay, all right. The effect of the use upon the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. Uses that harm copyright holders' ability to profit from the original work are less likely to be fair uses. Well, presumably that's what the person who copyright struck me was saying, that I was critiquing his book, therefore it was harming his profits on his book. But there was not 1 inch of that book in my video, so he had no case whatsoever, just shutting me down. Courts have sometimes made an exception under this factor in cases involving parodies. Okay, so it's a difficult area. It's a difficult area. I mean, after I got my copyright strike, I even considered not putting anything of anybody's in my videos in future, and then I decided against that. Using clips in a transformative manner, it makes the videos more interesting and it publicises other people's channels. I like to give people shout outs and publicise their channels. I like it when people do it for me, even if it's critical. You know, if it's done in a respectful manner, that's good. It's all good. If you're talking about a case, then different opinions is useful. So I'll leave a link to this. There's a lot of examples. So maybe the murder sheet don't understand copyright law. Something I think is probably unlikely. I think Teresa probably has a good point that they didn't like what she was saying. They decided to shut her live stream down. Now, there was something that has now been deleted. I took a screenshot of it from Delphi docs, but it's been deleted, so I'm not going to put it on screen because I don't know why it's been deleted. But it was purportedly from the murder sheet in a Discord. It's relating to what they're going to talk about in their next podcast because they're apparently going to expose a social media group for stuff that they're doing. So I don't know whether that screenshot was from that, but I don't know why it's been taken down, so I'm not going to put it on screen. I'm going to listen to what the murder sheet have to say, and then I'm going to be back. And if that screenshot was relevant, then I don't know. Robert Baston, you know, the inmate who was in Westville with Richard Allen, has written another letter to the court, which is available. I'm not going to read it all. It's really difficult to read, honestly. But it's long, 13 pages. So in May of 2023, right after the excessive use of force assault with the bodily injury, Bradley Rosie, the attorney for Richard Allen, requested an interview, and then things got worse and things got really bad. So yeah, just noting that that's out there. Make of it what you will. It's very difficult to read. I'm going to have to read it several times to even begin to understand all of his words. But it's all about the abuse that he suffered in Westville. Sloppy handwriting. But having to write with this. Okay. state-issued pens. Okay, alright, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget Cold Case Christmas. Alright, Cold Case Christmas over on Michelle Walks. Tonight, 6 PM UK time, episode 20 will come out, and that is Kyle Fleischman. Okay, see you there.